What's up, guys? Spenny. One of the most disturbing and bone-chilling videos I have ever watched in my life, not just as it pertains to the Jeffrey Epstein saga or the political landscape, but ever watched, is Bill Gates describing how he feels about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Watch this, and you can see perhaps what Heath Ledger based the suicidal pathology of the Joker on.
And, you know, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so, you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
There's no scene out of any horror movie that is more terrifying than that face and that commentary by the world's former richest man. Watching Bill Gates smirk and snivel with glee talking about the death of Jeffrey Epstein really makes you wonder. Bill Gates is just one of those people. Look at that expression. You know, talking about Jeffrey Epstein being killed or hanging himself or whatever you think happened. Like, the guy's dead in a cell in a grotesque and gruesome way, unless like he's living as a body double somewhere. What do you know at this point? But this is the reaction. The smile. Well, Jeffrey Epstein destroyed Bill Gates' relationship. Bill Gates is one of those people that got really close to Jeffrey Epstein after all the sex predator charges were returned guilty against Jeffrey Epstein. He's one of those people. You can separate Jeffrey Epstein's friends into two groups: the people that were close to him before the charges and after the charges. Bill Gates is the worst of the worst, and it's really weird. It's really creepy, and it's something that obviously makes your skin crawl the more videos you watch on the people who knew Jeffrey Epstein, like Cindy McCain. Cindy McCain, sitting here on a human trafficking board. She's the wife of John McCain. He was pretty much in charge of the Senate for like 30 years, ran for president as the Republican nominee. Cindy McCain was privy to a lot of very important information, classified information, and so on. She was able to see every op that ran against the American people over the last 40 years, right? Having a front row seat to John McCain. Anyway, the point is that here's what she has to say about Jeffrey Epstein. This is not an insignificant person. This is a very powerful woman in American politics. Arguably, one of the most powerful women in American politics is Cindy McCain. She was the ambassador to the United Nations, right?
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
Oh, okay. Got it. Right. So, we all knew what he was doing, but nobody would say anything. You know, your husband was on like TV all day, every day. He's running for president. He's like running the Senate, but he wouldn't say anything. No one would say anything. No one would go after him. Yeah. It's the curiosities like that are like blended into complete and total stark relief in moments like this. Because you're like, well, someone's clearly hiding something, right? And who's at fault here? Well, the people that actually gave Jeffrey Epstein the get out of jail free card. Jeffrey Epstein would be living probably a very happy life behind bars if he had just been charged correctly federally back in 2006 when our current president was hosting The Apprentice, right? There's an entirely different group of people. Cindy McCain's one of those people that were in charge. Bill Gates, one of those people that was very powerful at that time, had a lot more money and connections to Epstein than Trump did. But those are the people that did nothing and then giggle and tee-hee-hee upon Jeffrey Epstein's death, murder, whatever. So it's a very strange timeline. But the timeline just broke today with the Epstein survivor speaking out for the first time on Capitol Hill. And so there's these women who were abused by Epstein, and they were on Capitol Hill, and they were able to, for the first time ever, like tell their stories and talk about what's going on and what actually happened. And we watched the whole thing. It's 90 minutes, and I want to talk about three major takeaways that are really important in all of this. The first major takeaway is that there's obviously massive government corruption and a massive government cover-up. the people who stopped all of these women from ever seeking any type of penalties or recompense from Jeffrey Epstein, who've been stonewalling them the entire time, has been DOJs run by Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Joe Biden, and so on. That's what's been going on. They've been stonewalled by the feds. The feds were clearly protecting Epstein. That is obvious and clear to anyone who's read the files or saw what happened in 2006 when Jeffrey Epstein finally caught a case for over 100 counts of child sex trafficking. That should have landed him in prison forever. Why was he ever let loose? Well, that's what they're asking. And that's what they brought up at the event. Along with saying that during that time period, they were personally on a plane with Bill Clinton flying to Africa, Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express. A pretty famous trip. Listen to this.
I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. Who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most power.
So there she goes. I went on a trip with Clinton, and it scarred me forever. You'll be shocked to know that no reporter asked a follow-up about that. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we all saw it. It was all happening in plain sight. We all knew about it. We just didn't do anything. That's what they all say. They're all the same, right? Clinton, Cindy McCain, Joe Biden, they're all the same. Except for Trump. When asked directly by the corporate press whether any of them had ever witnessed President Trump doing anything untoward.
And I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
All of them say no. Not a single person says yes to that question. But what they do say is that, and the attorneys say this and the survivors say this, is that the idea that Jeffrey Epstein never doled them out to individuals that were in his orbit is false. That did happen, and it happened on tape and on camera. And that those tapes do, in fact, exist, and that they are making their own Epstein list.
2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford modeling agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Okay. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to put it all together. And these are the major takeaways. That they blame corrupt government law enforcement agencies throughout the last, let's say, 20 or so odd years for withholding evidence and protecting Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's utterly undeniable, actually, when you look at Alex Acosta and everything that happened with Jeffrey Epstein's case that he caught. Then they say that they're going to compile their own list, and then they talk about being on planes with Bill Clinton. Yikes. Okay. Government officials, politicians, royalty, they were taping everybody. Everything was being filmed, says Virginia Giuffre, whose family also spoke at this press conference. Flight logs show Bill Clinton flew on sex offender's jet. Previously, no. Ladies and gentlemen. There's also photos when the photos from the butler appeared. This is the other funny little wrinkle in all this. Bill Clinton was in them. Guy had never seen Donald Trump, but he's literally there with photos of Bill Clinton inside of his apartment. Guy says that he is. This was the special Africa trip right here. They're sitting on the throne of England. And he has photos on the plane with Clinton. It's fascinating. So what's to happen next? I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. Making their own lists. I mean, what I'm curious about, what I'm curious the very, very most about is, are you doing this without any type of political animus? As I've said before on this channel, and I will say it again here, the way that Democrats have treated this is a new Russiagate witch hunt hoax to run against President Trump. As the attorney, actually, who's standing right there, this gentleman right behind her, the attorney who's standing there in the press conference says, President Trump was insanely helpful to us in our search for prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. That's what the attorney said during the press conference. The left is trying so hard to pin this on Donald Trump while ignoring all of their friends who were involved. But I've been saying this for years. If he really was involved, why don't we all understand that this would have been leaked years ago? The liberal tears will be flowing bigly, says Donald Trump Jr. So I'll just end it at that. The attorney straight up today says the guy who helped us out the most was actually Donald Trump. So yes, it has been used as a hoax against President Trump. But what happened today was real, and we'll see where it goes. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you think.